maybe 230 kilometers from striking Mauritius, and it's moved about 130 kilometers in the last 10 hours. So it's still moving ridiculously slowly, and it's still moving west. You might want to start that sentence again, Craig, because we just have... You see, this is streaming live for you. Sometimes there are difficulties that are well beyond our control. We're not technical gurus in that regard, and well, we're streaming on YouTube, of course, so if you see any technical difficulties, it's their fault, okay? But repeat that sentence, Craig.
As I was saying, is that, I mean, it's continued to blow up this coldest convection that it's got. Looking at it, the southern section of it looks bare, dry air is looking like it's attacking the southern side of it.
Well, maybe this imagery will help you tell for certain there, whether it's dry air or whether it's wind shear.
Probably a bit of both, because seeing there, see how the convection is slightly being dragged back to the north. There is probably light wind shear that is starting to get over the system just now.
Well, it is a minimum of 15 knots. That is significant.
That would be enough to cause some trouble, maybe a little bit of disorganization, which it's certainly looking like it is. But then comes the question: is when you were saying that westward movement, it then puts into perspective and question: when is this turn actually going to happen, if it happens?
Yeah, that's been the question for days.
Into the real limelight of question now.
Alright then. If you want to get involved, you can send us a message on our YouTube channel on the live stream if you're watching us live this evening. I do not know how long we're going to be here for, but by the looks of it, its landfall is still, if it does make landfall, still quite far away, so we may end up seeing this storm through to yet another day. Because yesterday we were talking about how this storm looks like it was going to make its landfall or its closest approach tonight, which is why I thought we'd start streaming and we'd probably be staying on the air all night, but it doesn't look like that's going to happen, and we'll be streaming tomorrow instead. However, things can change quickly, and the models have a few things to say as well. We'll probably get onto that soon, but just if you want to get in touch with us, send us a message. Start your message with Force13 in the comments section. You can also visit any of our social platforms on Facebook and Twitter, search Force13. You can also add my Discord account, that's my personal account, Fool13, add extension 9094, and all of that information is repeated on the left hand side of your screen every so often. And also with our partners Meteo et Cyclone Maurice, they're also on Facebook, and I'm sure one or two of their personnel will be in our stream as they were last night. Well, off my face, let's take a look back at the storm, and it's increased in its area recently. It's grown larger.
Yes, that it has. It's become a blob. Started to become a very large blob, mainly looking like it's shear induced. Not surprised me one bit. If it was shear induced.
I mean, it looks pretty obvious, but the net result of this, more rainfall?
The colder the cloud tops and the higher you're seeing them, you can see it there in the water vapor loop, the more intense the precip's going to be. So you could expect a little bit more rainfall if it holds these cloud tops anyway.
Now, we were looking before the stream began at Force 13's forecast. This was what we came up with. It's not an official forecast, but that was as of 3 PM UTC, which is just over an hour ago, what we reckoned the storm would be doing. Intensification was sort of not completely buying some of those model solutions, one or two of them saying that it will rapidly intensify from this point to Category 3. There is no evidence of that yet. As soon as there is, we'll let you know, but at the moment we're keeping it at Category 1 all the way through, and that would mean sustained winds of 120 kilometers per hour or higher. Whilst go ahead.
The only evidence I have for rapid intensification is sea surface temperatures, and I do not have a wind shear map.
Sea surface temperatures don't mean much for intensification, but obviously that's That's the
You
cause.
can go to the wind shear and
The sea surface temperatures are the causal factor, but we're yet to see the effect. What I'm going to bring up to the screen now, hopefully, is another satellite indicated map of 24-hour rainfall accumulations, which might interest some of you. Let's see if we can get it up here now. Well, there it is, but you can't quite see the storm, and it's off the edge. On the left-hand side, we'll... Okay, well that is annoying. Let's try and bring that screen over. There you can see Mauritius and Réunion and the storm. And those colours, anywhere in those blues, that's up to 10 millimeters in 24 hours. These are total accumulations. The greens, 10 to about 30 millimeters in 24 hours. The yellows, 30 to 40. Orange, 40 to 50. Well, sort of to 60 really. Red is 60. And then it sort of goes to a sort of purple colour by the time it gets to local sites to find out what those numbers are. And I'll find out those numbers for you shortly. But let's just go back to the Force 13 graphic whilst I do get that information from Mauritius and from Réunion. The latest information. So in the last 24 hours in Mauritius, the highest rainfall amounts have been as follows in a 24-hour period. Looking at around 100, just less than 100 millimeters of rain in Vacoas, 97.8, 90.2 in Nouvelle-Découverte, and in the 80s in many other places, and in the 70s as well. Along the coastline, rainfall has been quite low actually in the last 24 hours, maybe around, I'm looking at some values, 15, 20, 25 millimeters of rain in the western areas, the populated areas. And along the eastern coast even less, maybe 9 or 10 millimeters. But on the higher elevation, of course, is generally where the higher rainfall has been. In terms of wind speed, in the last 24 hours, winds have been 108 kilometers per hour. That's a gust in Des Moines-les-Pays. I have no idea on the pronunciations. I'm not a French speaker. If we do get any French speakers on the stream, that would be very helpful. But all sorts of other places, generally the highest gust points have been around 80 kilometers per hour or a little bit less. Looking at Réunion, which is something you might be able to see on the page shortly, to Meteo France. Well, first of all, let us show you the radar. And the stream appears to be struggling today, but nothing to do with me, unfortunately. Otherwise, I'd have been able to help it. But here's the radar from Réunion at the moment showing the rainfall amounts. You can see quite a lot more rain is in the area now, and just a significant band reaching Mauritius by the looks of things, because the moisture has increased south of the storm, so more rainfall is now falling, especially over Réunion as well. If we were to look at where we're going to next, the observations, I believe, in the last 24 hours in Réunion, you can see the rainfall amounts there have been up to 145 millimeters, which is actually less than the previous 24 hours because we were looking at up to 200 and something. But still significant amounts of rain on those elevated locations. But some areas there, even in the northwest, you know, very low amounts of rainfall in the northwestern part. The wind, I think these are those are the highest winds, I think, wind gusts. 103 kilometers per hour there on the eastern part of Réunion. That is at Gros Pitons Saint Rose. And many others as well, 86 on that elevated area and along those coastal areas. Quite commonplace to see gale force winds. So that's the latest from there. As we go back to the water vapor imagery, and you can see more water vapor above Mauritius and Réunion, which means more rain is incoming. And if we go back to the estimated rainfall, this is estimated 1 hourly rainfall totals. The blue areas are up to 5 millimeters, the green areas up to about 12 millimeters, and in the center of the storm there you can see quite a bit of red. That is 40 to 45 millimeters of rain falling per hour. So if the center of the storm moves over these areas, these islands, you're going to see a lot of rain. Addison, you're showing us actually some models, so I don't know if you want to go ahead and show.
Yeah, I was just looking at the remains of Tropical Depression 4, and a lot of models are... Oh, crap. Wrong model.
Good start.
Wrong thing. Yep. Definitely not qualified for a blooper part. Anyway, I was just looking at the remains of... Yeah, I was looking at the remains of Tropical Depression 4, and it seems like it might move offshore Mozambique and regenerate. Which is fascinating.
I'm sorry, what?
I said the remaining extratropical depression 4 might regenerate. Yeah.
My goodness.
Move offshore Mozambique and regenerate. And then be slaughtered by Madagascar. Okay.
We can also show you what the HWRF is saying as well, which is a lot of fun. If I can just get there briefly, or you could do it as well, but whilst you can watch it with me, I suppose.
Yeah.
As we watch the HWRF model, you can see it here as the storm... Well, the HWRF model thinks the storm will weaken and then rapidly intensify and pass Mauritius very closely as it becomes a Category 3 again. Now, there's no evidence that that is going to happen, no evidence that that is in progress, but that is what that model run says, and that is just one model run of many. So, that is one scenario, but Force 13's forecast sort of takes a blend at the moment and says it could intensify a little bit, but probably not back to Category 2. Although, anything is possible, I suppose. And there's the RAM imagery as well, which might want to play a little loop of the last few hours there, where you can see it, how the storm's been progressing. And very high cloud tops there. Now, what happens in these situations is you can often see those cloud tops really explode, but other times you might see it exploding and then it just simmers down again and the storm dies. I don't know which way it's going to go, but you can still see it's trying to wrap around that eye, but as you can see, the southern side is very bare compared to the northern side. So if you're experiencing significant weather now, could you imagine what it would be on the northern side if the storm had tracked further south? But this is getting pretty close to Mauritius at this point, less than 250 kilometers now. It is starting to move a little bit more. If I take just taking a look at my coordinates, since last night's update, no, when would that have been? Since this morning's update at 6 AM, so that was 14 hours ago, this storm has now moved 167 kilometers to the west-southwest.
Although it seems like it might be stalling again.
Again. Not again.
At this point, it might strike Mauritius It might strike Mauritius next week at this point. If it keeps stalling like this.
Yeah. Do send in your questions, because there's going to be plenty. Start your message with Force 13 all in text. Why is this storm in particular so hard to predict, even though we have such advanced technology? Well, maybe it's not quite as advanced as we think. At the end of the day, it's the storm. I mean, I don't know. Maybe it's just a part of the world. However, having said that, the Joint Typhoon Warning Centre's forecasts haven't been so bad. I thought at first that they didn't do so well, but looking back at it, 4 days ago on the 13th of January, they said that this storm would be impacting Mauritius at its closest point tonight. So they're almost right. But it feels like it's taken extremely long. But they did say it would be significantly further south than it currently is. They didn't do a bad job. That's why we have cones of uncertainty. And for this storm, because of the circumstances around it, with influenced by possibly that tropical depression and steering currents and the high pressure to the south and whatever else, and the wind shear, there's still a lot of factors to bear in mind with this storm, as is with many. Some of them are more easy to predict than others, but this one is one in particular that's been quite difficult. And if you're watching the Atlantic last year, there was plenty of those over there as well. So I guess it's a continuation of that this year. But this storm could still have a surprise or two up its sleeve. It could intensify significantly or weaken significantly, or both. It might do one then the other, or the other then one. It's a very confusing picture. But as of right now, it's got 75 miles an hour winds sustained. That's 120 kilometers per hour, a pressure of around 981. We anticipate slight strengthening before weakening later on, but it could weaken all the same. Let's see. Heavy rain and gusts have started in the northeast. I'm guessing in Mauritius. Any updates when it's likely to get closer to the island? Will it make a landfall? What about the wind speeds? Well, as you can see, Force 13's cone of uncertainty here does have a landfall still as a possibility, but that storm has got to make that turn now if it's going to make a landfall. But we don't know. It's been keeping everyone guessing for the longest time as we enter. This is our 4th day of coverage.
2 questions here. What causes a storm to be stationary? And the general question, is Force 13 funded or kind of a hobby?
Well, as I said before, the storm becomes stationary quite often when the steering currents become weak, when there's other factors at play. Quite often storms can be influenced by frontal systems which pull a storm poleward, or in this case would be to the southeast, or you can have high pressure ridges further south in this instance, in which the storm is kept further north. Because a tropical cyclones always want to go poleward, and given this being the southern hemisphere, they'll want to go south, so they try their best to go as far south as possible, because mainly due to the Coriolis force, which is the rotation of the Earth. And with regards our operations, the Force 13 is fully voluntary based and has been since launch in 2011. And well, if anyone wants to volunteer to fund us, we'd be certainly open to all ideas. But at the moment, it is very much voluntary run, and running costs are pretty much out of our own pocket. So we do appreciate anything anyone offers, but we do provide the coverage regardless of what we receive. In any case, we've got another question. There's been a prediction that a depression will probably form in the northeast of Rodrigues from the 3rd to the 5th of February. That's a long way out, I have to say. That is 2 weeks. We cannot put any faith or stock into a prediction that's 2 weeks out.
And I'm not seeing in the GFS or CMC. You're going to have to give me a specific model or something.
Well, it's not even not even worth bothering looking.
I know.
In the last bulletin, Mauritius said it had started the turn. Is there a different interpretation? Well, I would say yes. The movement of this storm is still almost due west, ever so slightly south of due west. And that's the general movement as it has been for the last 14 hours or so. It's not turning yet. Is it true that there is an explosive convection? Well, it's not an exact term. Most people would probably call this explosive convection as we look at the water vapor imagery. We've not seen the cloud top imagery yet, actually, so let's take a look at that. As you can see, cloud tops in this storm are very cold indeed, and when it gets to about -85, -90, which this storm is at the moment, the colder temperatures correlate to higher clouds, and that means more explosive convection building and thunderstorms. As you can see, that is occurring north of the island, so I would call that explosive convection. Matteo Mauritius just said that the storm is turning now. Well, that's an interesting thought. But it doesn't look to us at this point that the storm is turning, and unfortunately, Mauritius still doesn't have radar, so we couldn't confirm it on radar, which is more reliable than satellite imagery. Maybe it is, but in the absence of radar, I don't think anyone could tell you for sure. I just want to... Go ahead.
Go on. And I heavily disagree on the turning part.
You do too. Okay. Well, I just want to read out the bulletin from Mauritius. They put one out at 7 p.m. Is that right? 7 p.m. Yeah, 7:10. They put it out. Just read this out for everyone. Class 3 warning, of course, still in effect. They said the severe tropical storm Berguitta was centered at around 220 kilometers to the northeast of Mauritius. That is in latitude 18.8 south and longitude 59.3 east. We're saying it is 18.5 south and 59.0 east. So that's just the little disagreement there. But they're saying 18.8 south, 59.3 east, moving in a general west-southwesterly direction at a speed of about 7 kilometers per hour, which is probably about right. Let's see, how much did it do? In 14 hours it moved 167 kilometers. So that is less than 10... oh no. I'm trying to figure that out. Is that 10 kilometers per hour? Somewhere around there. Oh no, more than that. In 14 hours. Now about 11 kilometers per hour according to our numbers over a 14-hour average, but they usually it's best practice to use a 6-hour average. Anyway, in any case, there are indications, they say, that Berguitta will assume a southwesterly track during the night. So they aren't saying that it is yet, but they are saying that it might. Or they're expecting it at least, and everyone is, to be honest. They say on this new trajectory, the severe tropical storm will dangerously head towards Mauritius and its centre will pass very close to the island tomorrow morning, which at the moment we think is true. In view of its intensity, position relative to Mauritius and its movement, the severe tropical storm Berguitta constitutes a serious threat to Mauritius, and the public in Mauritius is advised to complete and maintain all precautions and to stay safe. Of course. They say that the weather in Mauritius will remain overcast with intermittent rain, which will be moderate to heavy at times with thunderstorms with winds from the southeast at about 50 kilometers per hour strengthening gradually, and the gusts may reach 120 kilometers per hour in the course of the night. Sea will be high with heavy swells. It is strictly advised not to go out at sea if you didn't know before. More questions then, which we will take, and maybe you can answer one of these as well, Addison. I think it will pass 4 or 5 miles to the north of Mauritius and then make landfall in Réunion. And what do you think of this prediction? It is possible. It's in our cone. And what do you think, Addison?
Honestly, if it does, I'm not sure. Honestly, it might, but it might not.
And another question we were given, how wide is the cyclone? And the best way to answer this question is probably to go to the Joint Typhoon Warning Centre's forecast, and this is what they're showing. In terms of the wind field, quite a surprise actually, the northeastern side of the wind field they're saying is extremely tiny now. I'm not sure exactly why, looking at that convection. But you can see the wind field there extends almost all the way to Mauritius for tropical storm force winds. That's sustained winds of 65 kilometers per hour or more. And then you can see in the purple outline there near the center, that is hurricane force winds of 120 kilometers per hour or more. And at the moment, Joint Typhoon Warning Center says that both Mauritius and La Réunion will receive hurricane force winds, if not a landfall on both islands. But pay attention, look around, there is a huge cone all around there, and the storm could track anywhere within this cone, the shaded area, within the next 5 days. As for intensity, the Joint Typhoon Warning Center say that it will maintain its current intensity and not strengthen.
Here's another question. Do you think the hurricane is just the same as the hurricane had in America? What? I'm confused on that.
If you're asking whether hurricanes and cyclones are the same, well, they are. In principle, they've just got a different name, and sometimes the dynamics are slightly different in different oceans. For instance, the West Pacific is a very large ocean, so the storms tend to be larger. And in the Gulf of Mexico, they tend to be, and in the Caribbean, they tend to be more compact on average, because they are smaller and they have more heat content as well, and that's why they can intensify rapidly in those areas. So it's different in different parts of the world. In this part of the world, it is what I've noticed. Storms can be quite unpredictable in this part of the world. All you have to do to see that is take a look at the 1979-80 cyclone season in the southwest Indian Ocean. That was a crazy year which featured the wettest tropical cyclone on record, I believe, if that's still the case, which I think dumped huge amounts of rain on Réunion. I can't remember the amount, thousands of millimeters of rain. Let's see, is there anything else at this point? Can you tell me the intensity right now? Well, as said, our best estimates, and they are only estimates, is that the storm has winds of 75 miles per hour, which is 120 kilometers per hour, sustained with higher gusts, and a pressure of around 981 millibars. And according to our forecast map, intensification is very possible, and we are predicting a small amount of it.
Wait, what was the year of the wettest storm in Réunion or whatever?
In 1980.
Oh, 1980.
According to the Force 13 database. I'll go and see if I can find that again. I'm pretty sure it was. Yes, or one of the wettest at least. Cyclone Hyacinth in 1980 delivered 6,083 millimeters of rainfall.
Oh.
Which is regarded as, if not the wettest, one of the wettest cyclones in the world. Another very wet storm was Cyclone Berguitta in 2007, which delivered 5,512 millimeters of rainfall. Huge numbers.
Looking.
As we go back to the rainfall estimates here, and you can see near the center of the storm the effects of that massive flare-up. Much more higher rain rates occurring, and those purple areas near the center of the storm to the northern side, that denotes rainfall amounts of around 50 millimeters per hour. Let's get some more questions. Can you agree that it's making its closest approach to Mauritius in 13 to 19 hours? Very specific. I think that is a sensible estimate.
Possibly, if it doesn't freaking stall again.
And another question, how much rain approximately will it bring? Well, rain rates near the center of the storm in the last 24 hours have been around 300 millimeters. So if the storm center was to move over Mauritius for a whole 24 hours, it will probably end up having 300 millimeters of rain. I would say maybe slightly less than that. Probably about 200 to 250 would be my best estimate, but local isolated areas could see much higher.
Oh boy, oh boy.
And do we think that Mauritius should go for Class 4 warnings? Well, according to the definitions on their website, Class 4 is issued when, let me just get this right. Class 4 is issued when gusts of 120 kilometers an hour have been recorded in some places and are expected to continue. If the storm does move closer as we expect, then Class 4 will probably be raised at some point. unless the storm weakens drastically. Because at the moment it's got sustained winds near the centre, which is still 220 kilometres off Mauritius. Near the centre, sustained winds are 120 kilometres per hour, and naturally there will be higher gusts, probably of around 160 kilometres per hour or so, near the centre. But that's where we're at right now. Do you think there'll be much storm surge in Mauritius? Well, there will be high waves, and I think we have seen some flooding already on Rodrigues. I think it was attributed to Rodrigues when the storm was only strengthening through tropical storm strength. Storm surge is quite possible. Coastal flooding, especially on the northern side of the island. And it really depends how far. Obviously, if the storm goes to the eastern side of the island, all the water's going to be there. If it goes west, the waters will be along the western coast, and there will be some flooding, I'm sure, along the coast, and of course flash flooding inland with all the rain. And more things that have been said. Even Meteo France has said it is moving in a southwesterly direction, which is interesting, though there is still no evidence of that at this point. And you know, I still don't see it moving southwest at this point. It's expected to, but the storm continues to defy everyone, and Meteo France said that the storm would keep moving when it was stalling on multiple occasions until it finally got going again. It just continues to defy us all.
Oh.
But there we are.
No, not right now. Oh boy.
Now, what's going on over there?
I was reading a comment on here. An amateur meteorologist in Mauritius predicted the formation of a new cyclone on the 20th. Sorry. Predicted the formation of a new cyclone in the 20th and 22nd near Rodrigues. Until now, oh, it was before. Oh, I get it.
I'm sorry, I was just caught away there for a moment.
I said someone said something about the
I did see that.
Prediction of a, yeah.
That's an interesting thought, and well, you're the one who's been looking at the models the whole time.
Yeah.
Would you agree?
Probably, yeah.
Okay.
I mean,
well, we'll keep our eyes out for that. Does the cyclone still have its eyes? Plural eyes, apparently. Well, I don't think it has one at the moment. Struggling with its eye. Let's take a look at another view. Here's the NHC enhancement. And you can see all of that convection lighting up just north of the islands. Actual CDPS. Well, the CDPS stage at the moment is stage 4, which means that extensive damage is likely. That's the potential that this storm still has. And I tell you what, if it slows down and keeps up this flare up, the wind field will probably expand and it could go back up to stage 5. 160 kilometers per hour, can it go over that? At the moment, that is probably going to be the sort of the highest gust at the moment. It could if the storm intensifies, which at the moment we don't really know whether it's going to intensify or not. I'm sick of saying that, by the way. We're forever selling that we don't know what the storm's going to be doing. That's because it is a very unpredictable situation.
well, people are worried.
Yes, I just wish I had better answers, quite honestly, but no one really has an answer, because this is one of these situations that, I mean, it's just so close to the islands, and yet the wind speeds still remain somewhat low on the islands compared to the centre of the storm. of course there are gusts occurring at the moment of over 100 kilometers per hour, and those will rise throughout the night, we expect, as the storm draws nearer. And even if the storm does weaken at this point, those gusts may stay pretty high. What do you think will happen with 99S? Well, it's not doing very much at the moment. It's inland over Mozambique, and well, one model has pointed out earlier that it might re-intensify out near Madagascar. On the eastern side, wasn't it?
Huh?
On the eastern side of Madagascar?
Oh.
99S reforming according to one of the models?
The GFS and the CMC, yeah.
How curious. Well, take that with a grain of salt as well.
It's possible.
So it's a possibility, but at the moment no signs of that yet. I have seen a wind shear forecast that predicts it will drop as low as 4 knots. What does it mean for the storm? Well, that probably means the storm's going to intensify. We'll show you a shear map shortly. And
if I can.
Well, you could as well, yes.
Oh, this is useless.
It looks like it's getting bigger as per the satellite picture. Does that mean it's intensifying? Not necessarily. It does mean that the rain rate is increasing massively near the center of the storm. Why is the cyclone so unpredictable compared to other cyclones in the past? Well, some other cyclones in the past were unpredictable as well, like those ones in the 1980 season, and several others in the area. I can't think of any particular examples right now, but some of the others were much easier to predict. Hollander, for instance, took pretty much a straight line through the islands at a constant speed. Dina as well was a... I mean, I'm guessing there was pretty much uncertainty about the storm as it was going to pass the islands, but we weren't here talking. We wouldn't have been here talking about that one for 4 days, not knowing what it was going to do next, as we have with this one. It's whenever a storm is moving as slowly as this one, there's a lot more uncertainty about it. That's the thing. If it's moving more quickly, then you got a much better idea of where it's going to go next. And if it's in and some areas, you do have a better idea because of climatological norms as well. For instance, in the deep tropics of the Atlantic, you can have a pretty safe bet that the storm is going to move in a westerly or west-northwesterly direction, and a gradual intensification if the conditions are there. But for this one, sea surface temperatures are good, wind shear is marginal, dry air is sort of marginal, so we've got two significant points of which will determine the storm's intensity that are hinging, really, aren't they? It could go one way or the other, and that's why we are sort of stuck here debating with ourselves whether this storm is going to intensify or weaken. But what we can see at the moment still is that the aerial coverage of the storm is increasing massively, but it could just, you know, lose its energy again afterwards. Now, I pressed a button I wasn't supposed to press there, but that's just come up with the water vapor imagery again. I was supposed to go to the... Well, you can take a look at that again. I was supposed to go to the rain rate imagery again because that one updates the most often. So this is the one probably that I show the most because it's the most up to date. And in the latest frame, it's just from about 12 minutes ago, this one. You can see just how much area has really high amounts of rainfall, and over Mauritius right now, some of the greens there, so satellite estimates of around 5 to 7 millimeters per hour over pretty much all of Mauritius right now, according to this satellite estimate. Might not be true because it's not as good as radar, they're just estimated from the clouds, but near the center of the storm you can see again those rainfall amounts estimated over 45 millimeters in those purple areas near the center of the storm. When is the new time estimated to hit Mauritius? Well, as said, we don't know exactly the timings, but according to Force 13's forecast, we're looking at maybe 18 hours. So we're going to be calling it tomorrow afternoon. Mid-morning, lunch, afternoon time, by the looks of it now. So it just keeps dragging on. We were talking about Tuesday night, then we were talking about Wednesday, then Wednesday night, then now we're talking Thursday, and hopefully we won't be talking Thursday night. Hopefully it'll be gone by then, but I wouldn't bet on it. But there we are right now. More questions. There's quite a few actually. Do you have any idea from God when another cyclone will come to Mauritius? Well, he didn't tell me anything in particular, but the climatological trend at the moment would suggest that Mauritius is not completely safe after this storm for the season. There could be another one this season. We've only had 2 storms so far. I think the pre-season predictions were talking about something like 5. Yeah, there's certainly more chances of cyclone conditions on these islands or somewhere else in the Indian Ocean. At what time can we expect a drastic change in the weather? Well, some parts of Mauritius might be seeing some change in the weather now, but you look at this map, the way that's been going, I'm just curious about that rain band to the south there. You can see it here. If we zoom in, so I can show you exactly the part I'm talking about, once the imagery loads again, you'll be able to see the storm somewhere. It's like waiting for, I don't know what, public transport in the UK maybe. Trying to wait for the imagery to load. There it is again. You can see, or you could see on those latest images, the band moving towards Mauritius, and those yellow areas. Just get those that last image up because it's not loading properly. The last image there, that little band of yellow and orange is moving west towards Mauritius, so there could be some significant rainfall on the way very shortly. I'd say within an hour for all of the island by the looks of things. Those yellow areas to the orange areas, that is between 12 and 24 millimeters of rainfall, which might arrive in Mauritius. That's per hour, which might arrive in Mauritius shortly. I believe Craig has returned at this point.
Yes, I have.
I'll have to hand over to you for a few minutes here, Craig, whilst I sort some things out over here, if that's okay.
I need to fill in what I've missed.
Well, not much really. We've just been talking about the rainfall and where the storm's headed, and I guess just take your thoughts on it, and maybe you can discuss the current conditions around the storm in terms of wind shear, sea surface temperatures and dry air.
That's the problem when meal time comes calling. You end up missing stuff like this. But trying to get myself caught back up here. Looking at it right now, it's starting to try and blow up convection towards the south, towards the Bear side, which well, doesn't really make the storm look any better because it's very small convection towers.
What, are you sure?
It's also continuing to expand.
Cloud tops are reaching minus 90 now.
Southern side, on the very
side.
The site that was bare. That was really lacking.
As you were.
And those are very small convection towers. But the rest of the storm has continued to expand by the looks of it. Cloud tops are very impressive. We're pushing minus 90 degrees, which is probably the coldest cloud tops it's had since it was Invest. Tropical storm, whatever. But it's the coldest cloud tops it's had since the day it was born, or before it was born. You can see the dry air towards the south of the storm, which looks like on the RAM imagery anyway. It's probably going to be attacking the southern side, which it looks to be anyway, because the southern side is very, very bare. EU Met sat up. Oh. This. Bear with me.
Oh,
I don't want the snow enhancement. There we go.
Continuing to bear with you. I'm just figuring out some new information about its location. Well, let's, in the meantime, there's actually one or two pictures from earlier that was sent in by Isaac, one of our team members, and I think he just uploaded another one now, which we'll get to in a minute. But that was one image, and here is another latest image of the storm on the satellite. Any observations to make, Craig? Any chance of an eye?
Right. Not yet. I wouldn't say I would need another microwave image, which actually I'm going to have a look for. If there has been another, but I'm highly doubting it. Dalton Navy was about as good as a chocolate fire card. 40% of it was covered. That's not enough.
If you've got any comments or questions for us, by the way, do send them in. Craig and I would, and everyone would be happy to take your questions. And I'm sure we'll have 1 or 2 people milling about in the comments too.
Working somewhere.
But it's
looking
just,
at the image that you got up in the stream there, Nathan, that you can see there how the very strong convection to the north of the storm. That's pretty much what it's been all of its life, having the northern and western side is the strongest, but the eastern side you can still see it's struggling. You can see there at the southern side it's starting.
Well, I was thinking, Craig, do you think this convective burst is temporary?
Oh. That's touch
do you
and
think
go,
it might just extinguish and the storm will just die again, or is this rebounding?
Said if the cloud tops start warming in the next frame, then I could safely tell you that it was probably temporary. Cooling the cloud tops, I don't really think it could be temporary. I think it could be a thing where the shear is actually inducing it. Where it can, sometimes wind shear can cause the convection to literally skyrocket.
Man.
Strength.
Alright, I'm sure there's a lot more questions. Is the cyclone reorganizing? Well, would you call this reorganization or not?
It's a sort of form of it. You could you could call it what you like. Like really, it's touch and go whether it is reorganizing. It's looking a lot better. Let's be honest. It is looking a lot better than what it was yesterday.
Do cyclone predictions, are they more uncertain than hurricane or typhoon forecasts? Now, I was talking earlier, Craig, about forecasting these storms and how difficult this one has been in particular. And quite often storms can stall in this part of the world, which quite often makes it more difficult in this area inherently. Do you think that is a rule that applies to the whole basin?
Well, if it's out in the open South Indian, then it easily just should off to be a fish storm. If it's, say, right out in the middle of the South Indian and it's not really expected to go anywhere else except from straight south, that's pretty straightforward. But unless it's something like this or another Fantala, for example, that's that's a lot more dangerous because it's got the chance of hitting land masses. Fantala, which stalled north of Madagascar as a 175 mph Cat 5, there was a lot of uncertainty of where it was going to go, whether it would curve south and hit Madagascar, or which it didn't. It didn't go near it. It went backwards over. I can't remember the place that it hit. Makes the cyclone more dangerous.
It literally went over its own track.
Times.
You're talking about Fantala now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
About the one where it's we were discussing it as stall if a storm stalls and it compares to the entire it applies to the entire basin.
Yeah, okay.
Mainly depending on where it is.
I better get some more questions, otherwise people will complain. Do you have any idea what we should eat in a cyclone? Is apparently a question that's been given to me.
Foods.
It's an odd question. Tin, yeah. Food that's not perishable if the cyclone arrives and obviously your home is exposed to the elements. Or you lose power in your refrigerator and all that. Non-perishable foods is always the way to go. Rain intensity is increased in the northeast of Mauritius apparently. The rainfall estimate map shown here is provided by NESDIS, NESDIS, which has a worldwide rainfall map. Berguitta still very destructive. Oh, that's a question. Is Berguitta still... the question, will Berguitta still be a very destructive system when it makes landfall? Not necessarily landfall, but the storm might pass very close to Mauritius, and it could still be very destructive. Craig?
If it doesn't make a landfall, then it's going to be... That's going to be an issue. If it does make landfall, it's going to be mainly rainfall, maybe the storm surge. Wind will cause some form of damage, light roof damage, maybe some trees down from gusts. But I would be really concerned about the rainfall. Looking at the rain estimate, you see how the storm has literally just expanded. Like, I don't even compare it to, but it's expanded drastically.
Right, does it look like it's having a hard time? Especially on this current image. I think Craig would say yes. Is the track predicted till now still valid? It seems to maintain a west-southwest motion. That's what we're thinking at the moment. Can this cyclone be disintegrated? If it stalls, there's a better chance of that happening. Can the cyclone intensify itself if it moves slowly like that? It can, but it's not that likely anymore. It is possible. Oh, there's a very interesting question there. If the cloud tops are -90, do you think it will snow? Well, it might start as snow, but it's got to get down to the lower levels where the temperature's still +20 whatever. It won't fall as snow anywhere, even on very high mountains. Well, even on some of the highest mountains.
Up in the atmosphere, it's snow, but when it gets down to the lower levels, it's torrential rain.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Alright, I think we just about got to the end of the questions. If you've got any messages for us, start your message with Force 13 whilst we are live. We are here until who knows when. We haven't decided yet how long we're going to be streaming for, but it's coming to 9 PM in Mauritius, 5 PM here in the UK. We'll be back after the break with more coverage, and we'll talk more about the forecast track as well. Stay tuned.
Oh god, I can only imagine it literally.
Continues in a moment. You can follow Force 13's outlets, the website force13.com, which is still under construction right now, but check it out anyway. You can also find us on YouTube. Subscribe if you haven't already, search Force 13 all in text. Same on Facebook, put us a like on there as well, and you can also send us a message there, or on Twitter. We're at Force 13, the handle on Twitter. You can also add our official account Force 13 on Skype, or add my personal account on Discord, Fool13 at extension 9094. Also for this storm, we've teamed up with Matteo a Cyclone Maurice. Check out their Facebook page for latest discussion there too. watching Force 13's live streaming service. Watching Force 13 live in our second hour of coverage this evening. It is 5 PM local time here in the UK. In Mauritius it is just gone 9 o'clock. A new update from Mauritius is due in just over an hour's time at 10 past 10. We'll also have an update from La Réunion in that hour, but for the time being it's probably going to be more discussion from myself, Nathan Foy, and the team, consisting in this hour of Craig and Addison, as it was the last hour. Good evening. Let me just fade you up here. Good evening.
Good morning.
Good evening.
Any observations that you've made during that short intermission?
Not much, other than
Okay.
other than the GFS predicting the remains of Tropical Depression 4 becoming an insane storm.
Oh my goodness. In how long?
Longer than the GFS should predict it.
I see.
That's where I don't go any further than the 200+ hour mark. In fact, that's where I stop at 180.
Alright, we've got to take some more questions because there's quite a few. Start your message with Force 13 all in text if you'd like to ask a question on the air whilst we are here. We will answer them. It will light up big and bright for me, as Unbox Session has done, and you can ask many questions if you like. Will Mauritius have thunderstorms? And there's I think there was someone who said that there was thunderstorms that were happening without rain in Mauritius at the moment. I think someone said that somewhere. Can't find that now.
On the outer fringes of the cyclone, yeah, you are going to get scattered thunderstorms, something with heavy rain showers, but you will get some thunderstorms associated with the outer bands of the cyclone.
Do you think it will remain at Category 1 strength? Well, looking at Force 13's forecast chart, that was from 2 hours ago, says that it would stay at Category 1 strength. That is an estimate, that is not official either, but the Joint Typhoon Warning Centre, I think, also agree with that, and at La Réunion. Craig, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I would agree. This thing should be Category 1.
That it will remain Category 1 on the forecast?
I would agree that it would.
Yes, okay.
Unless it looks any more worse than microwave imagery, then I will start slanting it.
It wasn't without rain, it was without thunder. Lightning without thunder is what someone said.
You experienced heat lightning, where you get thunder, where you get lightning with no thunder. It's a rare event, that.
Interesting. And what are the dynamics behind that?
I don't fully understand what causes heat lightning, but I'll have to have a read into it. Don't really understand how heat lightning occurs. Because you would think a lightning bolt or a flash of sheet lightning, regardless, would cause air to ignite as it cools down, and then you expect the explosion from that.
Right.
don't know what the different dynamics are. I'll actually have a look at that now and get back to you on that.
Okay. I'm supposed to be going to Mauritius on Saturday. Should I cancel? Well, the storm should be gone by Saturday, we hope.
As long as it doesn't freaking stall.
Well, you know, I assume that flights are going to be cancelled, or already have been cancelled. I don't know how long till, but I can assume that flights must be cancelled in Mauritius, because it's not easy landing a plane in a 65 km/h crosswind, or any sort of wind, really. So I would say Mauritius might be a little bit windswept by the time you get to Saturday, but it should be okay to travel there in terms of actual conditions being safe, but what it's left behind we won't know, but hopefully the storm won't intensify. Doesn't it look like a westerly direction is more plausible given the higher pressure in south than in the north of the cyclone? I think they're talking about the high pressure system to the south, Craig.
High pressure system. That's probably what's going to be pushing it down and holding it down, stopping it from going any further north. Even if it did go north, looking at the shear maps, it's going to get absolutely slaughtered.
I thought there was a high pressure system to the south. Is there not?
Oh, never mind. Let's not get hung up on it. But if there is one to the south, yeah, that's what will hold it. Well, if the models are still saying it'll stall further south.
Well, it's been caught in its current location, hasn't it? What's that due to?
I'll need to see what the models were saying. That bit I probably would have missed multiple times. I'll have a look at them and have a look. See
And
what
some people
say.
start talking about blackouts that are starting to occur in Mauritius. Short power outages. Which is interesting because the storm's still nowhere near land yet.
That is pretty interesting. If you're getting problems like that and you ain't really got about the don't really have the main part of the storm hitting you yet, and you're starting to have power issues, that's concerning.
If you missed the top of the hour update, the storm is 129 miles from the closest major point on Mauritius. In kilometers, that's 207. So we're now just about to go into the last 200 kilometers before it strikes Mauritius, if it was to make landfall.
The setup, yeah, there is a high pressure to the south, and it supposedly, according to GFS, it will stall far south of the islands. The extratropical, but so it's already long gone.
Yeah, what time is the cyclone expected to hit Mauritius? Well, as we've been seeing over the course of several days, we haven't a clue. But as the storm does get closer, the forecast seems to be narrowing down. It looks to this point that it's going to be late tomorrow morning, early tomorrow afternoon at the moment. Okay, now people are saying blackouts are normal.
Blackouts are normal.
Well, I don't know. You tell me. Blackouts aren't normal here, I can tell you that much.
Yes.
Not here.
That's what surprises me, is that blackouts are already being recorded, but yet the main core of the storm, the main part of the storm, hasn't even arrived yet.
France 13. That's awesome.
What?
I was looking on the live chat, and someone said the name wrong. France 14 and 13 and
not France.
Oh god.
Wrong country.
Well, we are international actually, but
we're based around everywhere.
Still.
Hopefully shortly we'll be joined by Rakesh, who I believe is in Mauritius. I don't know if he's picked up the phone yet, but we'll see.
Yeah.
Do you think the cyclone should stay here permanently? Because I think it should be. That doesn't seem to make much sense, that question.
There permanently. The
And
problem, the logistics that could cause, no, no. I would not want a cyclone falling where it is right now, where it's giving you the outer bands, giving you rainfall.
Well, yeah, that's yeah, no, just no. Us meteorologists do not want that. Just no.
All right then. Are we joined by Rakesh at this point? I don't know if he wants to say anything or.
Isn't?
Who knows? But the opportunity is always there to talk to us. But here is the latest water vapor imagery. And we were talking about that dry air all the time, Craig. And you look to the south of the storm now, and it's got a very moist environment to the south of the storm. And all the dry air has been hemmed to the west. If you could see the image, nothing's appearing.
That
now.
would be nice.
All right, and people saying it seems that Berguitta is expanding rapidly. Is it intensifying?
Well, you could take that as a red herring at times, where it's gonna be expansion doesn't really technically mean the storm is going to intensify. That could just mean that the cloud tops are growing outwards as they blow up. I've seen that with some Category 1 storms.
Yes, but if it expands enough, you've got to say it's intensifying. Look at Mekhala, for instance.
It's touch and go whether
Mekhala was huge when it hit the Philippines.
Oh yeah, Mekhala.
We never saw an eye, but it was a Category 1.
Microwave, but it didn't show itself on
yeah, okay.
IR.
Have you got any new microwave images?
To put it in the microwave so I can get it.
Right. Or
no.
wind shear graphics, because we've been asked for those too.
Soon get them up. The last update was 15Z, so that's going to be the latest one. If I can.
6. I got one.
Well, there's plenty more questions whilst we wait for that. Is there a possibility of Class 4?
Here.
Well, if it was me doing the warnings, I would suggest that there is later on tonight, or, well, not tonight, but tomorrow, I would suggest. By the criteria definition, at least. And I don't think there's anything else at this point. So there we are with the latest on the storm, and you can see Mauritius well under that moist environment that the storm is producing, and rainfall, and well, and all that dry air has moved over southern Madagascar.
As I said, that dry air is not just going to be sitting there way forever. It's sitting there until
we lost you there.
That dry air is not only going to be, it's not going to keep getting pushed over Madagascar forever. It's going to be waiting in the wings until Bertiga goes extratropical or starts to go into that transition. The dry air is just going to absolutely slaughter it, along with the wind shear. Afterwards, anyway.
Call it Bugatti, Craig, if you can't do it. You said Bertiga.
You're on.
It's Berguitta. Not great.
No, it's not.
I think people are talking about pressure in Mauritius. I don't know whether that is an actual observation from Ritesh there, who says the pressure is 996 on the island. I'm not sure. What maximum gusts can we expect? At the moment, I would say anything up to maybe 160 kilometers per hour, 160. Let's see if we can get that to animate that loop. a bit of a lull here because we're waiting for the updates which will come out in the next hour. And whilst we're doing that, there aren't many of us here, so we're holding the fort at the minute whilst we wait for more news. But we're always happy to answer all of your questions, so do keep them flowing. We are still waiting on that wind shear map, which I might be able to provide eventually if the wait becomes so long. Let's see if we can find it. Hold on a minute.
Okay.
And if we go and look here, hopefully we'll be able to see it shortly. But for the time being, there is the track map showing where the storm is expected to go. And we do now have the wind shear graphic. Here it is. And you can see, actually, Craig, I don't know if you're... Are you still here? No, Craig's not still.
Nope, not here.
Well, look at this map. This is very interesting. This latest wind shear graphic, which is from 3 PM UTC, that's 2 hours ago, is now showing that wind shear amounts are up to 20 knots rather than just 15. Although, to the east there, really low amounts of wind shear. Is that an anticyclone? Not far away from the storm.
Oh. Seems like it. Holy cow.
Now that is
Extremely.
potentially bad news, and that is drawing nearer to the storm. And that would mean that wind shear amounts would drop substantially and the storm might re-intensify. But at the moment, it's really struggling with 20 knots of wind shear, and let's hope that remains the case. That's really interesting. Oh, the Met service are saying 996 millibars at the centre of Berguitta. That is far too high, in my opinion. That's a minimal tropical storm pressure. It's going to be much lower than that, considering the history it's had as well. But there's the latest wind shear, and very high wind shear, prohibitively high wind shear to the south as the storm continues to close in on Mauritius. Let's now see if we can bring the HWRF model run, another version of it that I could show you, on what it figures might happen. This is just one scenario, so don't take it as the only scenario or the right scenario, but this is what it says. The storm struggling there, and then the eye coming out properly again and possibly impacting Mauritius as a category 3. Now that would be a worst case scenario at this point. I don't think it could get any stronger than that. That would be for wind speeds of 180 kilometers per hour sustained, and it would pass just to the southeast of the island. That is a little bit high of a forecast, and it may not be as strong as that. And then the storm continues to the southwest. Reunion might get off fairly lightly. I don't know. They're still under warnings, of course, and they could still get tropical storm force winds, but hurricane force winds appear to be somewhat unlikely for them now, hopefully. And then the storm will continue off towards the south and then turn post-tropical, and it's long gone. And if we look at what the... you can also take a look at the forecasted wind shear graphics from the HWRF as well, which is nice. You can just about see the... In fact, if we could zoom in. You can see the storm, of course, marked out by the icon. The red areas are high amounts of wind shear. The blue areas are low amounts. You need a low amount for the storm to intensify. And as you can see, it's surrounded by high amounts, but then it enters a little bit of a better area in around... What's that? That is tomorrow morning. So that's just as it's passing Mauritius. It has a little bit of low amount of wind shear, just for a few hours, in which it possibly could intensify, and then it goes off towards the south and gets ripped apart by more wind shear. But that is just one scenario, and that is, I guess it's just a very difficult thing to predict at the moment, because we don't know whether that wind shear gap will come in, or whether the storm will take advantage of it even. But at the moment it's really blowing up, and that dry air is still being pushed away to the west. So this is where we are right now anyway. That's the latest. Class 3 warnings are in effect in Mauritius. Their next update will be in 50 minutes time. At their last update they said that the storm was 220 kilometers to the northeast. We're suggesting at this moment in time that it's now 207 kilometers to the northeast. And its direction of movement, in fact, to be honest, might be a little bit further southwest now. It might be possibly making the turn, but we'll have to have another hour to to confirm that. This was the visible imagery from earlier today. At some point you'll be able to see it. There's some of it. That's the last visible image of the day there, and night has now fallen over the area. But that's how it looked like earlier today on the visible. As you can see, no eye. Here's how it looks like now on the infrared on the cloud tops. Once we get the animation going, and you see how it's expanded throughout the day, it's almost doubled in size.
Yeah, no.
And here's another view. Somewhere. The NHC enhancement. And someone asking if this thing just falling apart. It is maintaining intensity at the moment. So it's not falling apart, but it's not intensifying yet. It is producing a lot more rain, as you can see. And now let's go to that rain rate. See if we can take a look at. Well, whilst we wait for that, let's go and take a look again at the Réunion radar. They've got an orange alert, by the way, for the cyclone, and you can see that band which is moving right over Mauritius there and has been doing in the last hour, and that's why people have been reporting heavier rain, and it's certainly pushing through there. On both of the islands, significant rainfall occurring. And yep, so back to the rainfall estimates, and in the latest image you'll be able to see from 5:16 UTC, that's just 7 minutes ago. There's the latest image showing up to 50 millimeters of rain per hour falling in the center, and over Mauritius right now there's an orange and maybe a little bit of sort of purple, burgundy, whatever color that is. So satellite estimates at the moment over isolated parts of Mauritius are suggesting 25 millimeters of rain per hour. 1 inch is falling in 1 or 2 places, and generally in the east there rainfall amounts to 20 millimeters per hour, and in the west, on that particular frame at least, rainfall amounts to about 5 millimeters per hour. That's the rain rate. If it was to continue under that color, it would produce those totals in an hour. But as you can see, those colours haven't been over the island for a whole hour, so obviously the numbers will be a little bit less. But Mauritius has been at least in green for the whole time, so it looks like guaranteed maybe 10 millimeters per hour falling across the whole island at the moment. As we play the whole loop again. And you can see Réunion off to the left hand side there, just about. 1 or 2 places of high rainfall occurring there as well, mainly on the western coast now near St Denis. So that band moving through, it doesn't look like there's anything behind it from Mauritius. This is the closest thing to radar we're going to get, looking out east at least. And if you look behind that to the east, it doesn't look like there's any significant rainfall behind it, although it does look like persistent rain is going to continue from here on in. I don't know if we're trying to get Rakesh back. I believe you're here now.
Hello.
Ah, good evening. Joining us from
Good
Mauritius
evening.
at this
How are
point.
you?
Go ahead, take it away, I guess.
My connection is really bad, so hope it lasts. Good. So the latest updates here in Mauritius, we have a gust, which has been increasing lately. I mean, during the last 1 hour. So I'm trying to get data from
Now,
the MUT service.
where in Mauritius are you at this point?
I'm at Rosera. So it's in the lower Pen Williams, in the lower between the high grounds and Port Louis.
Okay, that's the western side,
Yeah.
isn't it?
Well, we can say that, yeah.
So how's the rainfall looking right now? Because we really need information on the ground as we look at this satellite indications of rain. It looks like high amounts of rain are happening or just about to happen. What's it like there?
Well, right where I am, there is some gust, but our comments on our page were telling us that there are heavy rains Cupid. I mean the high grounds and even in the north. We are having moderate rain in the east of the island. Well, yeah, that's pretty much the data we have right now.
Alright then. You are a little quiet, by the way, so we are struggling just a little bit to hear you there.
Yeah, like I said, I mean the
there we
connection
go.
is really bad.
Yes. No, it sounds like...
It's quite bad, yeah. Yeah. The page is being updated every hour, so and fans are getting us some comments.
Indeed, and well, you may as well plug the page as well. What's the link?
I'm gonna send it to you in a comment.
I'll read out the link then.
No.
I just thought you give me the opportunity to read it out.
Wait. Okay, wait.
Whilst wait for that, we'll take some more questions or answers even. Arif tells us in Port Louis, not that heavy rain and winds as well. Yes, so Rakesh is part of our partners Meteo e Cyclone Maurice, and you can access their page on Facebook, facebook.com/Meteo Hub. METEOHUB, and we've been working together during this storm as it continues to impact Mauritius, and there's a lot of commentary on there as well, mainly text, images and graphics on there, and we've been providing the video content, of course, and more people saying that the power is going off and on. Now, Rakesh, have you had any power outages so far? I think you said you did, didn't you? If you're still with us. In the background somewhere, maybe. Anyway, okay then. Well, Craig, you're showing yourself on webcam. That must mean something.
Yeah, I'm not trying to terrify anyone, don't worry. Never mind my ugly mug.
Anything to add on this storm right now and these thunderstorms in the southern side? They the thunderstorms that are impacting Mauritius right now are quite well detached from the centre of the storm.
Yeah. Oh yeah, they're pretty well detached. They're pretty well separated from it. Looking at the imagery, but they are trying to blow up as well.
You must have missed it earlier, Craig, by the way. We were looking at the wind shear map, and this might not be very good news. I don't know if you're watching the stream, but look back at this again.
I'm looking.
Yeah, it'll take you about 15 seconds. We got about a 15-second delay here.
Right.
It's how YouTube works. It's about a 15-second delay, but you probably can see it now. What are you thinking?
I haven't got the wind shear map up.
Oh.
There it is, just come up with that. Well, at least it confirms my suspicions that the damn thing was getting sheared.
Well, it is, but look at that area to the east. Is that an anticyclone?
Not the way that... well, hang on. Well, it's spinning cyclonically.
Oh.
The way it's looking, so it could actually... But looking at the rest of the arrows, that does look like a little bit of an anticyclone. Looking at the way it's spiraling away.
And the wind shear is really low, and it's moving towards the storm.
So...
Got me a little worried.
Oh, you can be worried about it.
But at the moment, it's battling 20 knots of wind shear.
Yeah, so that explains why you're seeing all the significant convection blow up. Is because it's shear induced. So, but that also increases the amount of rainfall, so that doesn't help either.
Yeah, of course. Well, what is there to say? Go ahead.
I was just gonna have a look at the air mass imagery. God damn it, Windows 10, cooperate with me, goddammit.
We'll get there shortly. Was that Rakesh wanting to say something there? I don't know.
Obviously not.
I don't know. But if you want to send us a message in the comments section, questions and comments, we'll take your questions. And some people wanting to know how else we can be contacted and how to join us. There are several ways you can contact. Well, it depends what you're looking for. You can contact us on Facebook and Twitter. Search Force13 all in text. You can add Force13 on Skype. Our platform that we talk to people on here is usually on Discord. You can add my personal account on there. It's Fool13 extension 9094. So basically FOOL13 hashtag 9094. You see it on the trailers at the end of each hour, and you see it on the left hand side of the screen every so often as well if you need to write it down, but there we are, and I'm always receptive to that. Craig, go ahead.
I thought I wasn't going to work there for a minute, but it did. So here you can see the air mass imagery. So here you can see this is pretty much another clever little way of looking at water vapor. So the color differentiates. The greens here meaning are meaning moisture.
Sort of reminds me of a blend between unenhanced infrared and water vapor.
That's pretty much in a way what it sort of is. But the brown you can tell is, take two guesses what that is. The thing that is causing this storm great grief, especially in the southern side. I'll try that again.
We're both having it today, my god.
God damn it.
Go on.
Oh god. Anyway, so here you can see on the southern side, you can see a little bit of dry air, but I don't know whether that's too bright or not. If it is, that is an issue with it. But if it isn't, you can see what looks to be a little bit of brown in the center, and amongst that's all convection. Right down where my mouse is. So that will be probably causing the storm a little bit of issues. But you can see this like peacock effect, like the peacock fanning. You see here, that's caused by the wind shear. And you can see how far it's actually dragging the convection. This is the furthest little point that the convection actually gets dragged by the wind shear. But I'm trying to find that high pressure area that you were on about, Nathan. So it could be in it. So it's somewhat.
Well, it's just
somewhere
suggesting that might be the case.
Yeah, it could be in. So it's around about in here if I've done my maths right. Christ, me doing maths, that's dangerous. But you can just work out how big the outflow of the storm is right here. You can see it going straight down towards Australia before it starts narrowing out. But that's a significant outflow. But regardless of it, this is the storm size. So you can actually compare the outflow size to the actual storm. It's producing a bigger outflow than what the storm is itself. But you can see how much moisture it's actually packing in the northern side, whereas the southern side, you can see it's lacking.
I believe one of our members, Strat, is now in the comments answering some of them. We'll answer them on air as well. Any possibility of the storm re-intensifying? Well, we've been discussing that pretty much for the last hour and a half. And the answer we've come up with is we don't know. Although the most likely scenario is that the storm will at least maintain its intensity of 75 miles per hour, and then hurricane force winds are likely then on Mauritius and possibly on Reunion, depending on what it does. Craig, with that graphic.
Yeah, I was just saying, having a look at it, and why is it zoomed out all of a sudden? Zoom back in.
Yep.
You can see here, this is the dry air that was located to the north of the cyclone. You see how the moisture is starting to kick up around it, but you see how it went from 2 inflows to straight back, as I said, we discussed last night, resorting back to 1, which is also a good sign. That's meaning that that other inflow had died successfully. But you can see what could be another circulation in the South China Sea, and this are the little area of possible interest near Australia. And here is Bugatti.
Oh, Berguitta.
Okay, well, you told me to call it Bugatti if you can't pronounce it.
And then I'll just say Berguitta every time you say Bugatti.
Oh, God damn it.
Okay.
And here's what's left of 99S. It's still away.
Now, what are you thinking about this? Suggestions earlier that 1 or 2 models think it will regenerate east of Madagascar.
I hope it's got. I wish it all the best when trying to survive the mountains, because it's going to try and survive them first.
And also, 1 or 2 people suggesting that another system will form near Rodrigues in a few days.
Yeah, GFS was hinting at that.
Beginning next week.
Yeah, I'll actually have a look at them right now.
Do you want to? Okay.
Yeah, I'm prepared to give myself that
again.
word.
What we're about to show you is some of the models which aren't necessarily... They are guidance, they are not actual forecasts. So it is for guidance only and is not to be used for life and death situations.
Yes. There we go.
You should listen to the officials for that.
Yeah.
Hopefully they're doing their job properly.
I never really listen to models, because obviously the model can say one thing and it's rapidly change it. So here you can see it takes the current storm down past Mauritius and La Réunion there, and taking it off down to the south, then going extratropical, stalling as I was saying earlier because of the high pressure that's built. And it stalls, well, it's already extratropical at this point. It takes it off and stalls again, but then goes off to polewards, and then absolute stupidity unfolds. Look at all that.
Oh.
It's ridiculous. That is just no.
That's long
hoping
range.
Yeah, that's why you do not
Just
listen to that far out. That's why you take it with extreme pinches of salt.
Let's look
And
at
I
the
mean-
ECMWF then.
But let's go European now. Once I come out of the negative.
Pinches of salt? I would go with hills of salt.
God knows how much salt you want, but take it. So here's the same setup, and ECMWF picking up a little bit of intensity, but note this is 500 millibar height, or 850 millibar height, I should
Yeah,
say.
okay.
Yeah, 850. Passing Mauritius, is that? And just missing La Réunion there, and deepening even further down to 956 millibar at 850 height, and then racing off to the south and dying. But also the ECMWF note is also hinting at the same thing as the GFS was hinting at, a possible Australian region cyclone. But that is that's 240 hours out, so that's too far out. The wacky Canadians, oh dear God. Oh, I'm not liking the look of that already. I thought the GFS was bad.
Oh dear. Which one's this? What did you say?
The wacky Canadians.
Canadian.
Better known as CMC. So here you can see it's taking the storm past Mauritius. Is that, you can touch and go whether you want to call that a landfall. The eye is crossing over land, but it's depending where it's the centre of it. Misses La Réunion there, and weakening. Was that a little bit of stalling there? I'm trying to play that back again. No, it wasn't. Taking it off down to the south, deepening even further as it goes extratropical, and then the unholy trinity then unfolds. This is why you don't listen.
Gosh. Well, so that doesn't happen.
This is why we go between different models. Is because you've seen how different these models are behaving. The nav gem, which is normally, oh wow, that is a brilliant model run. Only 6 hours out.
Really? It only
I could-
extends out to 6 hours. Wonderful.
So here's what it's got so
Great
far.
prediction.
There we go.
It's still
That's
stalling though. You see it.
Still stalling. Come on, nav gem. Icon. Let's go to the Germans. Try not to say that. I'll try to say that again without stuttering. I'm slurring my speech. I need to visit Alcoholics Anonymous.
Don't do that, Craig.
But anyway, so here's what the icon is saying. They're saying that the cyclone will move towards Mauritius as it's expected to do, not making a landfall with the looks of that. This is La Réunion and strengthens a little bit. Going and then going off down to the south. Yep, same as the GFS there, literally the same as it's stalling out whilst it's going extratropical. And then it predicts another cyclone near Australia and another far north and near Madagascar and another few. But obviously that's 180 hours out, so that's my limit of what I'm going to listen to. I'm not going to say that's going to happen.
Yep.
HWRF. Let's see what ridiculousness this is predicting. So here's what it's saying.
It's HWRF now.
Yeah, this is HWRF.
Yeah, well,
What's
I've shown this already, but you may as well go through it and give us your analysis.
Yeah. So here the HWGF. I have just insulted this model by calling it the G.
Go on.
Just insulted it. But anyway, so here's the HWRF taking the cyclone towards Mauritius. You can touch and go whether you wanted to call that a landfall or not.
Now, is it... Oh, wait, that's 12 Zulu.
This is the 12 Zulu run of HWRF.
Ah, now this is a new one. So what's that pressure there?
That is 882 millibars.
982.
Yep.
So pretty much the
And-
same strength as now.
Yeah, right about there. And it does show it holding, well, 980 right now.
That's the sort of thing. That's the sort of forecast I would go with. Pretty
Yeah,
much.
and a little bit of pressure rate rising, and then deepening again.
And yeah. Well, initially it said it would deepen before reaching Mauritius and strike as a Category 3, and now it's saying this is why you don't put too much faith in models, because the previous run of the HWRF said that it would be a Category 3 by the time it hit Mauritius, and now it says it's going to happen after striking the island. It'll only
And this is it
intensify.
going tropical now. So pretty much they're seeing a little bit of intensification after the islands. So once that's over and done with, and that was, dare I say it, the models. But
Well, let's go back to the latest rainfall imagery over Mauritius, and you can see a big blob there in that last frame, which is from what time? 5:31, which is just 12 minutes ago. So that last image there is showing a rain rate of 25 millimeters per hour occurring over most of Mauritius, but that is only for a 15-minute period, so it won't actually get to 25 millimeters in an hour because it is passing right over. But it looks right now that Mauritius is getting a significant amount of rainfall, probably the biggest dose that they've had so far. Although behind it there doesn't appear to be that much. There's some more thunderstorms or rainfall showers developing, but they look like they're going to pass to the south. As for the storm's core itself, it's big. It's got much bigger now, but
oh dear.
at the center of the storm, rainfall rates are still at about 45-50 millimeters per hour.
Yeah.
We'll have another position estimate coming up in about 15 minutes as well, so stay tuned for that. And then of course we'll have all of the updates from the Mauritius Met Service and from La Réunion. So Craig, has your thinking evolved at all? Oh, was that Rakesh wanting to speak first?
Yes.
Ah,
So it's good you're hearing me. So I'm
just
gonna
about.
take your...
I know your
Yeah.
signal's very temperamental, so I'll let you go with it.
Yeah, thanks. So I'm just gonna take you around the island. So we are having heavy rains to the east. We are having heavy rain on the high grounds. At Pi, near Portways, we have been recording gusts of 110 kilometers per hour. At Bagua, over the high grounds, heavy rain with gusts.
Now, on low-lying areas, what have the wind speeds been so far?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
On the lower-lying areas and in the towns and cities, what have the wind speeds been so far?
I still don't get your full sentence.
The low-lying areas and towns and
Yeah.
cities and all of those
The
areas.
low-lying
What are the wind speeds?
areas. Okay, so we are getting let's check this out. We're getting 50 kilometers per hour. We're getting 61, 65. Yes, we are getting 76 maximum. But the strongest wind are mainly over the high grounds.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
And what? Go ahead.
Go ahead. You can.
I was just thinking about what the officials are saying over there at the moment.
So the officials are saying that during the next hours, Berguitta is going to move to the southwest, and it's going to get closer to us. And according to Mauritius Met Service, the closest passage will be between 1 to 4 p.m. a.m. Sorry, tomorrow morning. So yeah, it will be either a direct hit or 10 kilometers away from the east coast.
So they think that's going to happen tonight.
Yes, between 1 and 4 a.m.
That's interesting because at the current rate of progress, it won't get there until it speeds up. Unless it speeds up, it won't get there till late morning.
Exactly, and that's a part of their forecast that as from tonight, as it moves to the southwest, it's gonna increase in speed.
But they've been saying that for days and it hasn't.
Yeah.
But everyone's been saying that. Everyone's been saying it.
We're all waiting for that, but yeah.
Crazy.
So
Anything
that's
else?
the latest update. If you indulge me, I'm just gonna answer to some questions of fans in French, if I can.
Ah, yes, of course.
Thank you. Alors nous avons des questions que les fans nous demandent. Alors, quand la position la plus proche? Alors déjà, donc ce sera entre 1h et 4h après l'île Maurice. Mais bien sûr, la MCM ne confirme rien. On attend déjà que Berguitta a bougé franchement vers le sud-ouest avec une vitesse de déplacement. Donc, est-ce que Berguitta va s'intensifier? Bon, le modèle actuellement, sûrement peut-être un petit peu, mais pas pour arriver au stade de cyclone tropical. Elle va rester au stade de forte tempête tropicale pour le moment.
It's so difficult switching between languages, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
I don't suppose. I mean, if people want to ask questions in French, I guess you and part of your team might be there in the comments as well.
Yes, but for the time being, they are. My team, I don't know where they are right now. There has been some power cuts for the island, so I have 2 people still online. I'm just gonna check with them in a sec.
All right. Whilst we take on some questions here. If there are questions, if you do have any, send them in. Start your message with Force 13, it will light up for me. Is it strengthening, maintaining current intensity, or weakening before reaching Mauritius? Same questions we're getting here, and the same answer we can give. We don't really know, but at the moment, it's maintaining intensity, we say. We'll have a position estimate for you, a new position estimate coming up at the top of the hour in just over 10 minutes. So that will be interesting. Don't know if you'd like to add anything, Craig. You look bored.
No, I'm hearing the last time I checked.
Always with the jokes.
But I can't. What's wrong with some jokes now and then?
Yes, there's been plenty.
Yeah, that's true.
Well, we do need a little bit of lightness, but we do hope that we are doing a good job in delivering the stream. More people suggesting about what time it's going to be now. So that's true, is it? The Mauritius are saying that it's going to be tonight, like early hours of the morning.
Yeah, mainly early hours in the morning.
Yeah, I should think so. It'll be at least that time, probably later though, given its current rate of movement.
Exactly, so we are still counting that on our side.
And they're actually saying that's for landfall, or they're just saying that's when the winds are going to be high?
They're saying that's going to be the landfall.
Wow.
Yeah.
I don't think so, but winds will be getting up throughout the night. Where's the imagery gone? There it is again. That again is the rainfall estimate. Let's take a look back at some more satellite imagery, infrared views. Here again is the water vapor, and let's see if there's any new frames. I don't know if you've got any pictures to show us as well, Craig, of any new satellite imagery or whatever. In fact, there is one in the stream, in the chat between our members. There is another picture. That's from 20 minutes ago, and there's a little slot in the south there, Craig. It's not an eye, is it?
No, that is not an eye. Don't jump to conclusion. That is what you would call a dry slot. Obviously, still dry air is still getting in to the system. You can see that there, because the dry air, you see the yellow that's wrapping around the storm and starting to attack the southern side again. This is the dry air that's starting to cause it the jip, and it has always been causing it jip. So this is probably what I was saying on the air mass on the EU METSAT imagery. That is the dry air that is causing it trouble in terms of the center, but strength-wise, I don't think it's really going to alter it much. But it's certainly not an eye yet. If it is one, it's an absolute poor excuse for one.
When do you think we're going to get some new microwave imagery?
I have honestly no idea. Whenever it decides to come out. If I could chase it up and tell them to hurry up and put it out, it would be nice. But I exactly can't do that at all. 18Z comes out, so the latest microwave images.
That is soon, yes.
Was 11:44:48 UTC, so that's really outdated. You can't really go for that because once that image comes out, that image is pretty much useless because the storm's always changing in terms of strength after that image has come out. So once that image has come out, and the next IR image and visible images come out, the structure is somewhat changed, either in a small way or a very large way. But looking at this, the structure probably has got the northern section of the storm at a very significant rain band strength, and the southern side pretty much should be non-existent when the next microwave image comes out. That's what I'm expecting from it.
We were just joined by Isaac briefly, but he ran off. I was just going to introduce him.
I think he's been having trouble trying to get on Discord on calls lately, especially as of today.
More things that people are saying. Some big issues in the north. Power cut imminent, according to Druvin.
Yes, that's true. We have been having some power cuts in the north, in the east, and around Cupid over the high grounds.
Now, I said that near the top of the stream, and people started saying that's normal.
I'm sorry?
Well, near the top of the stream, I was talking about the power cuts, and then people came back at me saying that that's quite normal in Mauritius, so I don't know where we're at, really.
Yes. Yes, it's quite normal during bad weather to have power cuts in Mauritius, but but especially because since the beginning of January we have been having some heavy rains.
Yep.
So all the electricity facilities have already been fragilized and so yeah, the wingers are not being so kind with us.
Yeah, of
regarding
course.
the electricity facilities we have here in Mauritius.
Alright then, well I think that rounds this hour off pretty nicely. Thank you very much, Rakesh, and I don't know if you're sticking around, but I mean, we'll try and have you for as long as we can. I know with that signal of yours, obviously
I hope to be connected as long as I can.
obviously to be expected over there, and we'll be talking to Craig again, I'm sure, at the start of the next hour. But for now, that is all for a few more minutes. We'll be taking a short intermission, and then we'll be back again. In the meantime, start your message with Force 13 in the comments. We'll pick them up at the start of the hour. In the next hour, we'll be talking about the updates for Mauritius and La Réunion, which will be coming out in that hour. And then we'll probably digest the new information. Stay tuned. Just so you know, when I go off the air, I have to keep Discord on mute. Oh, he's not even listening to me. He's deafened. Continues in a moment. You can follow Force 13's outlets, the website force13.com.